Okay, right.
You know,
right.
and that's
There you
where
go.
schools play. We can help people get smarter about technology. Right. We can help people get smarter about financial literacy. Mm-hmm. We can help young people develop, you know, because we are youth developers. We can help them gain some, should I do this versus could I do it?
Right.
And that's where there's still importance of the school. There's still like
they're still youngins growing up.
Yeah,
they're still,
we just got to update our operating system. Not to make it the school's operating system got to update. We still got old systems.
There you go. Way super old system for sure.
Yeah,
that should be crazy.
Yeah,
right?
so that's my place. Yeah,
so Josh, we're going into my segment now. Jconfident's pickup thoughts. Yo, you know what I just thought about?
What, Josh?
Leadership is like tending a garden in concrete. Most don't believe anything will grow, but the ones with vision plant anyway. Principal Trav Brown didn't just plant seeds, he built ecosystems. Because when your roots are strong, you don't wait on the right conditions, you create them. All right, a question for Mr. Trav Brown. You've led from the front lines in some of the toughest schools environments. What's something people misunderstood about leadership in our communities that you wish they truly knew?
About leadership?
Mm-hmm. And running school systems the way you did.
I think the biggest thing is our understanding of leadership is all wrong because we always see these figures that lead from the front. And they think a leader is the person in the front going where nobody else goes and telling and rallying troops. And there's different type of leaderships. Okay. When people can't see and it's scary, you lead from the front. You have to because the troops are not following. So you got to lead from the front. You got to do something daring and say it's safe. Right. But the challenge that we see with leadership, especially leadership of color, you know, we get images, the movie Lean On Me. Yeah. You know, Lean On Me, man with the bat in front. That's our model, archetype of what a leader is. This guy in the front, blah, blah, blah. To get kids to get those proficiency rates higher, to get people to move, you know, become intellectuals and schools to really move forward, you got to learn to lead from behind. It's a different type of leadership. We love the uphill leadership. Thanks. We're going to climbing the hill. But what happens when the plains are flat? You know, and everything is, you know, said, well, you don't have to chain the doors like Joe Clark anymore.
I was about to say, we don't have to follow Joe Clark every time.
Right. But this is what we see. We see these mythical figures that kick ass, and they don't take no stuff like that. But when we're talking about moving a company, moving an organization forward, we need a different type of leadership. You need more EQ. You got to learn how to work with people. You can't just, you know, you're fired because you're not listening to me. But we get these that it's like my way or the highway and like that. And that's not about building. That's not how you build a community. That's a fact. That's not how you move organizations. And that's not how you keep people with you. So I would say, to answer your question, we have to understand how to master all the different types of leaderships given the situation. I know this uphill leadership is sexy. When you coming in, you ain't taking no shit. Nobody can tell you anything. But that's not leadership. Not when your people are smart.
Facts.
When you hire really smart people, you got to do more shutting up and more listening. But that's not taught. It's not taught, and that's not what seems sexy. But when we want to move organizations, we got to be really good at community building, people building, problem solving amongst groups. And we got to bury the ego. The ego is the enemy.
Yeah. Peace, bless, love. Give thanks to that man above. You're now rocking with Mr. Uncommon.
What's good, everybody? Y'all already know who it is. It's the Fresh Prince himself, Izzy Finesse.
And the one and only, Jconfident. Remember, y'all, some people collect moments, others make them. It's not about waiting for the right time. It's about making every second count. Let's go! Kaboom, we are back. Welcome back, y'all.
Here comes the boom.
Yo, what's good, family? Before we jump into this powerful conversation, I just need y'all to do me one quick favor, right? If y'all rock with the Off Experience, please hit that subscribe button. Also, drop a comment. Let us know your thoughts. And if you're feeling the vibes, you know, let's keep this movement going.
Also, check us out on TikTok, TikTok. Shout out to the audio listeners, man. Continue downloading, continue streaming. We see y'all. For the iHeart listeners, preset the podcast, man. There's a new preset option on iHeartRadio. Preset the podcast. You can listen to us when we drop episodes. It'll be notified on your screen. Thank you so much. Also, listen to Network. We appreciate y'all. We see y'all. Thank you so much. Let's go.
Yeah. All right, shit. Never gets old. Like that. Never. All right, ladies and gentlemen. All right, today we welcomed a true game changer in the education, Dr. Travis Brown, as the executive director and principal of Pharos. I'm saying it right? Pharos?
You got it.
Pharos Academy Charter School in the Bronx. He's transforming urban education with a mission-driven approach that's closing achievement gaps and empowering students. Beyond the classroom, he's the creator of Earners Academy, a financial literacy program equipping young minds with the tools to build generational wealth. An innovator, leader, and advocate for equity in education. He's here to drop knowledge and inspiration. Let's give it up for Dr. Travis Brown.
Yes, sir. Welcome.
Thank you all for having me.
Yes, sir. Thank you for coming.
Thanks.
Thank you for coming, for sure.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah, taking your out of your scheduled time as a busy man. You coming down to Off Experience Pod, man, and hitting out with some gems and stuff like that on this conversation. That'd be great.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
We got the man here, man.
So let's take it like we always do. We
Take
always
it back.
take it busy back. Rewind back to when you were growing up. Let us know. Let the people know. Let the audience know who where you were born at, raised. You know what I'm saying?
How was your upbringing?
Yeah. We start. I was an '80s baby. Even though people don't say that because I was born in 1979 at the end.
Oh.
But I grew up in the '80s, so I don't know anything about the '70s. I grew up in the '80s, Brooklyn, New York. At that time, it's the the drugs, all that stuff, and things like that. But the thing that separated me from everything else, growing up in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, it was my older brother.
Okay.
My older brother, he's about 15 years older than me. He was a correction officer, Rikers Island.
Okay.
So he would always tell me, if you end up here, I will never talk to you again. So that always charted my path. I wanted to be like my older brother. So I said, I'm not even dabbling in crime, violence, all that stuff. I came from a good family,
Right.
Even though it's the same story, grew up in the projects, welfare, 7 of us. But I always took to education.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that really got me out of the projects or got me out of the hood, as we say. Is I always took education seriously, and specifically mathematics.
Right.
So, just did the education thing like so many other kids in my situation.
Yeah.
School was the safe haven around all of the craziness. And like some people like to say, there's trauma growing up in the hood and things like that.
Yeah.
But like I tell people even today, families, just like my mother, she did a great job of kind of shielding me or sheltering me from the craziness that was going around us. Like you see it going on, but our household was stable, and even though we didn't have a lot, we had each other.
Right.
So, I just focused on school and things like that. And then from high school, I went to college. I went to Temple University in Philadelphia. And a lot of people say, how did I get? Because my background is technology. Someone told me way back when, and it's still true now, that technology is the future. And if you want to make a lot of money, you go into technology.
Yeah.
So, so I chose Temple University. It's a very uncommon thing to say now, but the reason why I chose Temple University at the time was because of Bill Cosby.
Okay.
And I know Bill Cosby's not a popular name now and all that, but at that time in the 80s, as you know, you may not know, but the Cosby Show and also A Different World, it was the first time you saw a person wearing collared shirts, wearing historically black colleges, wearing collars, a black man wearing
A Different World.
He
threw it back, bro.
Wait. So people in the Bill Cosby show was wearing like Temple.
He was.
Oh, he was. Yeah,
He always stood with the collared shirts and the signal on it, on something like that.
And he was a graduate of Temple University.
Okay.
So that was my first. So growing up, that was already etched in my mind. So when it was time to go to college, I said I'm going to Temple.
Yeah.
So you see the power of messaging.
Right.
Yeah.
And we could talk about even back then, media is very powerful. Now we got social media. We didn't have social media back then, but they had messaging power. So when it was time for me to fill out my college application, I was Temple, locked in.
Yeah.
And it was because of the Cosby Show.
Yeah, he was a staple too, man, and at the time
Sure
too.
was.
Like, for a lot of families,
A whole lot,
especially
right.
around that time. Like you said, you mentioned a lot of black shows, right? And that in the hood, that's what we watched. Right? That's what we idolized. That's what we saw. So when you said a different world, it took me back. Like, damn. I used to faithfully just watch this show. Like, it was some school, college stuff and all that, which you didn't see that.
Dwayne Wayne, everything like that.
Come on.
And the reason why I bring that up is because as I was talking to you, that's why I respect and I appreciate you having me here, because media, whether it's social media, TV, is powerful.
Yeah.
This is what is what people consume.
Yeah.
And subconsciously is in there. So I was a product of that. So as I was sharing, like when it was time for college, I applied to Temple University. And then I said in Philadelphia, so then I applied to Drexel University because that was in Philadelphia. Because I'm in Philadelphia, like I got to be there, right?
Yeah.
And it's close to home too.
Right? And then I applied to Hampton University because it's a historically black college. Okay. So Bill Cosby and the Cosby Show, I don't want to say Bill Cosby, but the Cosby Show and that whole, and that whole media piece and that dynamic really infiltrated and seeped into my mind and said where I had to be. So went to Temple University and I was a computer science major. And that's just because someone told me that's what you need to do.
Right. And
if you want to make money.
Hey, you listen though.
You sure did.
You listen though.
You were the sponge that soaked in a lot of information that people gave you, man. That's dope. I mean, even growing up, you said you had 7 siblings and stuff like that, right? So like if things get tough with numbers, they could just give you the paperwork, like, yo, take care of this for me.
Yeah, definitely. They know who to come to for those things, and I got my brothers and sisters are talented in their own right or whatever. Okay. I think I'm the math guy probably. So yeah, that's my role of talent in the family.
But you in the middle or the youngest?
I'm right in the middle.
You right in the middle?
Yeah, there's 3 before me, 3 after. Yeah.
Whoa, so you literally the middle child.
You're like me.
Me too, bro. I feel your pain.
Yeah, not the tallest, but the middle child. Yeah, but the middle child. But again,
that is dope.
Yeah,
but I like how you compare the way you went to college to the shows back in the days, the black culture shows. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, when I was young and I used to watch A Different World, I always thought to myself, "Damn, is that really what college is about?" Like. That's I gotta make it there. I gotta go where he's at, because if that's what college is, I gotta make it there.
Right.
I went 1 semester, but then again I got offered a lot of overtime at work, so I was like, you know what, let me just grab the money and
Let's be honest, bro. You just didn't see the different world in that.
I did.
That's real. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see the TV in the.
You ain't see the TV.
I seen stress. I seen stress. That's what I see.
Yeah. but like even you saying that, right, with the whole jackets and everything, that leads into my segment, right? Because let's get it. Always gotta find.
You gonna jump into it?
Yeah, always gotta find a way to lead into it.
I see that shit.
I was actually watching Sneaker Shopping, right, with Will Smith, and they was talking about how his show, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, how he had all the Jordans. He had Martin too. So yeah, now we in the Get Fresh with Izzy segment, and as you can see, right, me and Jconfident and also Trav here, we got this lovely merch that he brought for us.
Yeah, word. I ain't gonna lie.
Jam.
The color scheme is I love it.
Yeah,
I love the
this
color
is
scheme
fire.
for sure.
This
Like,
is fire.
my
And I was just
Dolphin.
and summer's coming up too, man. That's like springtime. Woo,
Exactly.
child.
And I was just looking at the blue, and I was like, "Yo, this goes perfect." We also the OPc&x hat.
Oh, I just bought a hat too. I was trying to figure out what to wear today. I'm like, what I'm gonna wear today? Sorry to cut you off. Like, what I'm gonna wear today? And I swear to God, I just bought this hat. It says "Can't beat the wave with the same color wave."
Wow. See, it was meant to be.
Now, mine is the orange, but still, like it has the blue,
Yeah,
white,
yeah.
and black. I was like, yo. Nah, I'm just thinking about it right now. Go ahead, Roy. Got me. Good looking. I appreciate you, bro.
No doubt.
Good looking. Now you got me on
Yo,
the
for
outfit.
real. Nah, that right there is what you call gray style right there, right? So, this is the Teach Jam jacket. Thank you also for bringing this to us. I got the Uniqlo long sleeve shirt under. You can't go wrong with the material. Got Nike sweats, and I was telling y'all, right, how I was watching Do the Right Thing. This is way before my time, right?
love it. Yeah.
So I was watching Do the Right Thing, and I came across the scene where bugging out, his sneakers got stepped on. So I had to come through with the cement foils right here. I had to come through with it today, because it just took me back.
That's what he got stepped on?
Yeah. These are sneakers that he was actually wearing when he got stepped on.
He's stepping on my jeans, man.
Yeah, he was like, "Yo, where you going?" So yeah, that's my outfit for today.
That's
man.
an epic.
Nice. Shit. All right, cool. I got my black and brown. I always forget the number of these. Like my New Balances. I can see. I always see them like almost every week. I don't know semi-bleached jeans, I guess. I'm gonna
Yeah,
say,
that's what
right?
what you call it.
Right? And they all from H&M. I love H&M. I like going to H&M. That's my
quality.
shit. Good quality, yeah, for sure. H&M for sure. Fitted. World Series, I think it has on it. Cool, that's it. It's simple, you know. Like this is why we always say it could be calm, it could be simple,
Exactly.
but just be clean.
Exactly.
That's it.
All right, so like he said, I'm clean with the white today. I got the white earn hat. I wore this hat for my man Izzy. He got a little test going on tomorrow, so God bless him. Good luck. I got the Teach Jam jacket. I love this colorway. You know, shout out to them. You know what I'm saying? I got the sweatpants, regular sweatpants. Talk about the socks. I told y'all last episode that I was gonna wear the Monster socks. So if you're a 90s kid, you know the Monster. That was always the epic shit right there. Then I got my Nikes, of course, you know what I'm saying? But you know, that's the drip for today. Y'all already know.
Yeah.
My man.
Oh, I get to go? Okay.
Yeah.
I'll just keep it. So, of course, the Top Earners Academy, that's the financial literacy curriculum. So, we're definitely representing that. Shout out to Earn Your Leisure and this partnership with them to bring financial literacy to people who look like us. And then, of course, Teach Jam. That's the movement in terms of the conference for teachers that
like
we
that
got.
one.
Yeah, so this one right here, it says educate on the front, and on the back it says build strong over fix broken. So let's build strong men let's build strong children instead of fixing broken men. And that's from the Frederick Douglass quote. So
That's like a one-on-one?
Say again?
That's a one-on-one?
Oh, not at all. Teach Jam, everybody that comes out to the conference, May 31st, they're getting this for free.
I can't
I'll
wait.
see
I
y'all
can't
there.
wait for that.
I like that
I
one.
can't wait for
Yeah,
that event. And I wanted to ask you too, right? Because I play basketball, right? So the Teach Jam, did that come from Peach Jam?
No, actually, no.
Okay.
Kind of.
I remember
where it
Peach
came
Jam.
from. Yeah, it came from more. So Peach Jam, I said okay, so it was close to that. So we tried to do with association. So there's Summer Jam, Peach Jam, and what we were looking to do. I got the idea. Actually, shout out to Earn Your Leisure again because I go out to Invest Fest every year.
Okay.
And that vibe, you know, Invest Fest, Atlanta. You see 25,000 people talking about financial literacy.
Right.
So I was inspired there, and I said, that's about investing, but it's like a music festival. And Troy and Rashad do a great job of doing that. So I said, we don't have that kind of vibe for education,
Right.
for people of color, black and brown people that have that vibe, because typically, you know, teachers got to go out to Vegas and California to go to conferences. But there's not like a forced by us
Like
kind of a
on
conference.
this side? Like
on this side, yeah, we always leave. And I'm like, let's do it in the
it,
Bronx.
yeah.
Because the Bronx, for lack of, you know, for whatever reason, is considered a desert for a lot of things, like an education desert, food desert, all that stuff. So I said, let's do it here and let's grow it here. So when I was thinking of the name, I said, it's about teaching. Let's call it Teach. And then let's get that. Let's get that vibe, that music. We people of color, Caribbean people, black people, brown people, you know, Hispanic people. We got to get that feeling. So, you know,
You gotta get it
we
back.
jam.
Yeah.
So we put it together.
I like that.
But
So the jam part was like for music wise.
yeah,
Like where everybody get together.
right,
culture.
right.
That's
And that was you know, just association with my brothers from Earn Your Leisure because they had that Invest Fest. So I said they really inspired me to bring teaching that world together.
Yeah.
What we like about, we got to teach about teaching, but we know our people. We know we like to
we
have
like
a
to
good
party.
time.
Like, yeah,
right.
fact.
We know we have a good time. So how do we bring that together?
Which is smart. I like that collab right there because it is true, man. Like, what is it to have fun but still be educated?
right.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I know sometimes to get us out, we got to do some things.
Yeah, you know, you got to throw a little incentive in there, like.
Yeah, we people are fun, and you know,
Yeah.
like you know, KRS-One before your time. He said it's a little up for like this whole idea of edutainment. You know, so it's like how do you build that in and keep people engaged, and then you don't have to do it all the time, and we do it in a very respectful and professional way.
Yeah, not on some like trying to put it down your.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, trying to force it.
Not trying to force it to you. Like people don't react well to things like that.
Yeah, definitely the soapbox. And plus, you know, education is a tough profession. So part of it is to come out and just have a good time. Hear the music you want to hear, get the crowd going, they make the connections. But that's where the kind of name came from. And that's what the merch is like. Let's give people something that they'll wear.
Right.
Yeah,
Like wearable stuff that teachers could really identify with, but it is cool, you know?
That's
That's
so
what it
dope.
is.
That's dope.
Yeah, so that right there concludes my segment, but we're gonna keep talking about the educational part because that right there is the main thing of this episode right here, right? The the Pharos Academy, right, which is located in the Bronx, I seen that once you came into the school, you improved on the proficiencies of math and English, right? What was like the biggest changes you made to get those results?
That's a great question. I think that the number one thing is, honestly, is not the kids. And that's the number one thing. And just to set the table, you know, we're in the South Bronx, the Longwood Hunts Point section.
Right.
And, you know, there's 32 school districts in New York City. And our school district is Community School District 12 is the lowest performing.
Wow.
And math in ELA. So our kids don't have a shot.
Right.
So when I showed up to the school, 15% proficiency in math, 16% proficiency in ELA.
That's crazy.
So I'm like, damn, then what we doing? We shouldn't even have school.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm happy to report now we're talking about in mathematics, we're 81%.
Facts.
Yeah.
So we're on par with anybody
Drop a bomb
in New York City. Appreciate it.
From 15% to 81%.
Yeah.
That's amazing, bro.
Yeah, and we're on par with anyone in New York City. It doesn't matter the neighborhood. It doesn't matter the way the kids look, their backgrounds, who their parents are, where our kids are achieving. And especially like our middle school kids, we're talking about some grades did 90% proficiency.
That's crazy.
And this doesn't happen in our community. So when we talk about what has changed and what did we change, the first thing you have to table set and say, it's not the children. Their brains are not slower. They're not dumber than anybody. It's something that the adults have to do. And then you have to start picking the game plans like everything. You got to build a winning team first. You have to pick the right people. Too many people in education principals have a lot of responsibility, but we overinflate our worth. It's more like a football team. You got to bring in really smart people that's actually going to challenge your leadership.
You gotta pick your own staff.
So that's what we went through. So that's the first piece. I'm the principal, but can I hire people smarter than me in certain areas?
Right.
Because I need people to be able to challenge me and push me, because I don't want a bunch of yes men and yes women around me. So when I hire, first thing is like, look, I don't need you to kiss my behind at all.
Right.
You gotta tell me when I'm off, when you know better than me. So that's what you start doing. You pick the staff first, and then you got to start bringing in curriculum that makes sense, that's really aligned to your mission and things like that. And then honestly, one of the biggest problems with urban education, urban education, especially with our people, whatever, we like a lot of nonsense in schools.
Word.
And we make a lot of excuses. Word. And then one thing that around my school and what we try to do is say, let's take all the nonsense out. It's cool. Like we like the arts and dancing and things like that. That's all cool. But our kids have to learn how to read. They have to learn how to do mathematics, numeracy. So that's what we put forth in terms of a plan. I don't want to bore your listeners in terms of the ins and outs, but really it's around the who question is the biggest question you got to answer. Who do I have with me? That's the number one question. Then you got to do, what curriculum do I have in place? Curriculum is very important. Yeah. And then you got to create alignment across culture, academics, and then the staff. And then once you do those things, you start to get that, you start moving in the right direction.
Start flowing.
Definitely.
So I want to actually even going before that, right? Like, what made you even want to put yourself in this position to be a principal, right? Like, start teaching the kids and all that.
Yeah, that's a great question. It takes me back, like after college, I went out in corporate America, and I was a programmer. And we're talking about 2001.
Okay.
And then I just didn't see a lot of people that looked like me and from my communities. I was like the only black person in a large organization, and it was just weird because it was an environment I wasn't comfortable with. I wasn't used to. So I just thought about it and reflected and said, if I feel this way, I know there's a lot of people who feel this way too, and there's the people coming behind me that's going to feel this way as well. So I said, let me figure out a way to do something. I was itching also to get back to New York City. Okay. I was in Philly for a while, and I ran my time in Philly. That's another conversation. Shout out to Philly, the Philadelphia Eagles and all that. But I was homesick, so I saw an opportunity to teach mathematics through the New York City Teaching Fellows Program.
Okay.
So I signed up, joined, got accepted to the program, and then was able to teach mathematics. And they put you in the highest need area, so they put me in the Bronx. And that set my household up. Like they were they were up in arms about that. My mother, because Brooklyn.
I
people
swear
don't
to
mess with
God, bro.
Bronx.
I was just about to tell you, like, yo, but out of you in Brooklyn, what made you come to the Bronx and just like stay here, bro?
It was purely placement.
All
I wouldn't have designed.
You wouldn't have your choice?
I've never even been to Bronx before.
Yeah. Oh, got you.
No, that's a lot. The only time I went to the Bronx is when I get off of 149 at Grand Concourse and walk over the bridge to Harlem.
I see.
My older brother lived in Harlem, so I didn't know anything about the Bronx. So when I told my mother was like, "Why the hell you going to the Bronx? The Bronx is crazy." And then when I came to the Bronx, that's the same thing they said about Brooklyn people.
Yes.
But we don't mingle at all. So I didn't even know anybody.
So
from
we
the
don't know
Bronx.
what's going on.
We don't know what's going on. But I started at Truman High School.
Okay.
So I was at Harry S. Truman
My
High
daughter
School.
just graduated from Truman.
Oh, word?
Yeah.
That's dope. Yeah.
Shit.
So that's where I started, Co-op City. I didn't even know.
Oh, wow.
I heard of the Bronx. Yankee Stadium was there, but I've never been.
You ain't been up north on it, right? Like,
not at
you
all.
thought the Bronx was just like 161 at Yankee Stadium.
That was it. But instantly, I fell in love with Bronx kids,
Right.
and the community.
Right.
And I feel good saying this because as my career went on, I had schools in Brooklyn, I had schools in Manhattan, also in Harlem.
Yeah.
It's nothing like my Bronx community and my Bronx kids. It's just Bronx kids are
See
different.
that? Shout out BX. See that, right?
Word.
We ain't say it. He said it. A Brooklyn guy said it. All right? There you go. Nah.
So and the community that the Bronx has, and sometimes in a lot of ways it's a forgotten borough. In a lot of ways, education, things like that, whatever. A lot of people opt out of teaching in the Bronx. If we talk about teaching, even the New York City Department of Education has something called a Bronx Plan, where they're paying people more just to teach in the Bronx and be a part of the Bronx. And I just think people are missing out. They don't know how diverse the Bronx is, how amazing the Bronx is. It's like this forgotten, but I don't know why. So I fell in love with this place.
It's the stigma. It's the stigma that people put on it, man. Like, I know the people that live here want to leave and stuff like that. I would say, but it's a stigma that they put on it that people want to just follow instead of just coming and seeing for real. There's beautiful places in the Bronx.
And
beautiful places,
culture, and people don't realize that. So I fell in love with it, and it's really I did stints everywhere. I went out to Newark, New Jersey for a couple, but the Bronx is where I started my teaching career, and this is where I wanted to be. And so when I had the opportunity to lead the school Pharos Academy in the South Bronx, I jumped at it, and it's a place that I'll never leave.
That's dope. I like that, man, because just even talking about how you said that the Bronx was like a desert to some people. You showed just by bringing it up from 15% to 81%. You showed that just don't look at the flowers, look at the root of people. You know what I'm saying? The flowers are pretty, but the root is where everybody needs to learn where everything is coming from. So you going in and saying that it's not about the kids. I love that. You always got to attack the parents. They are also involved in everything as well. Once the parents get involved, the kid will be like, oh, snap, that is dope. So you doing what you did, who inspired you to like say your education is what it is for the future? Like who did that for you?
I think when I look back at why I'm successful, it started with my brother, right? My older brother. And then I just had these people in schools. And it didn't matter what race, religion they were. They just saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. So whether it was my math teacher in high school, Miss Hyman, who I had 8th period and I would cut her class, and she would show up at my 7th period class, look me in my face and say, I see you here, you better come to my 8th period class.
Wow. Damn, that's fire.
That's game changing.
That's fire.
She saw something in me that I didn't see in myself.
And that's the staff that you talk about that you need to hire.
Right.
For that right there.
1,000%. So it's like when, young people so malleable at the time, and it could go either way. We all know that from being where we're from and things like that. And it's that person that sees something in you that you don't see in yourself.
Yeah. Right.
And also the person that gives you a lot of chances. And that's the problem in some of our systems, whether it's the jail system, whether it's the school system and things like that. We don't get a lot of chances.
Right.
As we're growing and developing, where more affluent kids in certain socioeconomic background, they mess up as much as black and brown kids.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But they see them as one day he's going to figure this out and work for a private equity firm.
Right.
He's just going through something, but he's going to be all right and become a doctor or be a lawyer. Our kids, we there's adultification of our kids, looking at a 12 and 13-year-old and treating them like they're 25 years old, and thinking that their mistakes are permanent.
Yeah, we get exiled and all that.
Yeah, and thinking that what you do at 12 or 13 is permanent and that's who you are instead of you being malleable. So I just saw that people don't look at me that way. They saw something and they gave me chances.
Right.
And they helped me understand that my life from early on until 25, 26, maybe in 30 is more of a sandbox where I'm going to build stuff up, I'm going to mess stuff up and keep.
Right.
You know, and that's the only reason why I'm here is because people didn't count me out or write me off when I made mistakes, really. So that's why I look and I said, I like that, really.
Yeah.
You know, especially, you know, I got all the stories about my friends who took the wrong path and things like that or whatever. But my friends who did make it and people I know, it was because there were adults there that said, this is bad or you screwed up here. Look them in their face and say, I'm disappointed in you, but I'm going to give you another chance.
Right.
You're going to figure this thing out.
Right.
And I'm going to help you figure it out.
Right.
So that's what really inspired me and said, you know, I could do this and I could be that for other people. And it became addicting. When I became a teacher, it became like a drug in a way, like in a good way.
Yeah.
Like this stuff really matters. Like they really cling on to you and hold on to, you know, and they expect you to be there for them.
Yeah.
So I was like, this
dope.
is a good thing, especially for people who look like us. Really.
That's dope. Even like since we talking about like kids who, you know, being judged for what they did and stuff like that, you founded a school in Brooklyn for at-risk youth kids.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that, because I've never seen nobody that be like, yo, if you get in trouble, I got you. Don't worry. But come on my wing, you know what I'm saying? I'll show you the right way.
Yeah.
So how did that come about?
Yeah, so that was funny enough. There was a school, and that was my entry into charter schools. Because first I was a New York City Department of Education teacher. I was a New York City Department of Education principal as well.
Okay.
So I didn't know too much about charter schools. But there was a charter school created for systems involved, court involved, jail involved youth. And they were looking for someone.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they were looking for someone to lead the school.
So
And obviously nobody was trying to lead that school.
So that's how charters was.
No, that was just this charter.
Oh, this charter. Oh, I'm about to
Yeah.
say, shot even know that. Like,
Yeah.
that's wild.
So, and the reason why it was created, and shout out to Cammie Anderson, she had a vision because when you think about a New York City Department of Education school, when a child was incarcerated, when they came home, the homeschooling really want them in the beginning.
Right.
They had that, you just got booked for a gun charge.
Yeah.
You just got selling drugs. We don't want you in the building.
Right.
And so the goal was to build schools that actually welcome those students
That's fire.
and brought them in.
That's
but
dope.
no principal wants to touch that. Like, that's not where
They thought it was gonna be like all fucked up and
Yeah.
well,
and
a
like,
lot of
pretty
ways,
much.
a lot of these kids are, you know,
Yeah,
and the system failed them, or they failed the system in some ways, or just a whole host of stuff.
Right.
But we're not calling balls and strikes in that right now. We got to figure this out.
Right.
So,
Because they kids at the end of the day, like, what are we gonna do?
Yeah. So they pulled on my heartstrings, and they're like, you know, this is in Brooklyn or whatever. So I said, I got to do it for Brooklyn, you know. You know, we got to do it, you know. And then it was at the nexus point. It was like Brownsville, East New York. Is Broadway Junction. I don't know if y'all know Brooklyn.
all rough
But
areas.
So is everybody coming in? And then we're recruiting kids from Rikers Island, jail, going to see. So we brought 250 kids in there of the toughest, most neediest kids in New York City. They all came there. It was like an ACS dream. Like, I got this case, nobody want them, send them over there.
Oh,
And
they just dumped everybody like
some people,
like Trump doing right now with the jails doing in Salvador, right? Like,
I don't want it to compare it to that.
not to that extreme, not to that extreme, but I'm just saying, like, that's what it was. Like they dumped them in there and said, we don't want them to go over there.
But I think it was the first time where if you're an ACS caseworker or a school social worker, you were like, oh, I know a place.
I got
That,
you.
you know, like
Could recommend them real quick. Yeah,
yeah, like that say they want you, right? So it was an exciting time, and we got a lot of applications, a lot of people, and honestly, from the experience, it brings you back to kids are just kids.
Right.
And sometimes, and this is what I want to tell all our parents and educators, our children are victims of their parents sometimes and their parents' lifestyles.
100%.
And, you know, and they're just Sometimes they're just dealing or getting molded by experience they don't have any control of.
100%.
Generational trauma.
Yeah. Right. And then some of our areas living on top of each other. We all know the story, but this shapes and molds kids, gives them trauma. I didn't go through that, you know. I'm from Tompkins Projects, and you know, but my mother did a great job where I didn't get caught up in that, but a lot of these kids are.
Right.
So the goal was not to judge them for where they are, but tell them, like, we're going to give you a great opportunity, and I'm going to be disappointed and judge you going forward. And we're going to be on your side, but on your case here. Right. Because y'all are a special case. We can't baby y'all anymore because this world is not. Right. Baby you. Right. So we're going to mess up inside this building. Again, we're going to give you 1,000 chances. You're going to mess up inside this building.
But we're going to give up on you.
But but we're going to be there, but we're going to be tough on you because you got to change. Right. So that was kind of the approach. This on your side, on your case, you know, piece. Right. And it was a tug of war. Yeah. Because of course these young people don't trust you. Right. Because so many people they put trust in, lost the trust. Yeah. And sometimes it was their fault, you know. Yeah, right. And one funny story, we had new computers. I spent a lot of money on computers, right? Oh man. For, you know, and one young man 2 weeks in, he stole all of them.
Wow. He stole
all of them.
I thought you was going to say break.
Nah, I knew that was going that there.
He stole all of them. This is the type of environment. He stole all of them.
Whoa.
So then I brought him in the office because we knew it was him. We did investigation and things like that. So he's sitting there looking at me, and we had a standoff. Like, do what you got to do.
Okay.
That's what he's telling me.
Okay.
And these are young people that have been locked up, suspended a bunch of time. So he's like, call who you got to call, do what you got to do. So we in Brooklyn, so I got home court advantage too. So I said, I'm not going to do what I have to do. Tomorrow, you're going to bring back all those computers because what you don't realize, those are for y'all. You're stealing from yourself.
Right.
You're stealing from people like this. So do what you got to do, but bring them back. He's like, no, call who you got to call. And I'm like, I'm speaking to the person I got to call. You're the man. You did it. You fix it. Because for one time in your life, this has to be a place where you don't feel like you have to take advantage and you have to get over. And could you do it? Yes. But the number one question you got to start asking yourself now is, should I do it?
Should I do it?
There's a could to should switch. Yeah. So it took him a couple days. I think he stole like 50 of them.
Jesus
He got 49 back. He's like, look,
I
can't get the 50 back. He said, I tried. I can't get it back. That's out there. I'm sorry.
How was that even possible? Like, it was like laptops that
he took all of them.
Your man went in there just
it was you know, we had to have the right teams in place, a lot of social workers. We can talk about it and joke about it today, but it was tough work. And
there was a lot of
shout out to the people who you have to find the right teachers also, because sometimes environments like that attract people who don't want to do a lot of work. They don't feel they have to. They feel like they could just show up and it's good enough that I just show up because this kid is going to be nothing anyway. And that's how people also show up in some of these Bronx schools. Not everyone. There's some wonderful educators. There's some wonderful principals. But sometimes people think they can give our young people less because they don't look at them as like that person's going to be on Wall Street. So sometimes, and that's one thing I had with one of the teachers in another school. I asked him in his face. I said, why are you doing this? And he was like, oh, well, give me an excuse. I said, if Obama's daughter was in your classroom,
you treat her different.
How would you change? Would you do this? And he said, no. I said, why not? I said, because that's Obama's daughter. So when we think kids are going to be successful, it changes our behaviors.
Yes, 100%.
And we actually, and what teachers don't know, what people don't know, we actually cheat for people we think are going to be successful.
True.
We cheat for them to make them successful.
For sure.
You have to, because then it's a knock on you. Like if I told you your son's IQ was top tier, right? Was in the top 5 percentile, right? He's one of the smartest people in the world based off of IQ.
Right.
If he's not successful, you're going to blame yourself.
Right.
Because he had all the tools. He's talent now.
Right.
We don't look at it, black and brown children from these areas as talent.
Right.
You look at Obama's daughter as talent.
Yeah.
That if she's not successful, it's my fault. Because she'll have all the tools.
Right.
So we cheat. And what I mean by cheat is we teach more. Like, you're going to be up all night with your son because he's smart. So you're going to be like, wait, he don't get this? We got to stay up all night. We got to do more. Because he has to get it.
Give him more resources.
Give him more resources. Give him more chances to fail. That's what happens when we think people, whether it's kids or adults, are smart or worthy,
Yeah.
we do more for them.
Yes.
It changes our behaviors as educators. So,
And we shouldn't do that, man. Like,
I mean,
like we shouldn't. We should, like you said, treat everybody the same. Like, not just because you're a different stature.
but it's natural.
It is natural for sure.
It is,
But I'm
because
saying, but we
even-
shouldn't that shouldn't be something that we play
even
over
this
every
right
time.
here, when he was playing basketball young, we coached him, but he made sure that he's up every day at 5 a.m. Yo, we got to put in this work. You missed 50 shots yesterday. Now we doing 100 tomorrow. So that right there, that
and
relationship
that's what's getting him better.
yes,
Is actually the consistency, the feedback, and you bring up the volume, voluminous, where he's doing a lot, and that's what we actually see that we don't really think about in education. Genius. If you look at genius or anything, let's look at music or sports or whatever. Right? Let's look at the music for a second. Pick your favorite. What's your favorite album?
Oh, favorite album?
you always say.
Many of them, 50 Cent.
Get Rich or Die Trying.
50 Cent.
Yeah,
He kind of knocked that out the park.
yeah. OD.
Right. But how many songs did he record?
In what sense? Like,
How many songs did he record? How many songs didn't make the album?
oh, I'm pretty sure a lot of them.
Right.
I'm
So if
pretty
you
sure
look
a lot
at
of them.
somebody like Michael Jackson, everybody know MJ, right?
Yeah.
Even though you better know Michael Jackson,
yeah,
right?
of course, yeah.
You better know Michael Jackson. But look, his first album, they recorded over 200 songs.
Yeah.
Only about 11 to
12 make
to
it, yeah.
make the cut.
Yeah.
So what is that? That's volume.
Yeah,
Output.
Right.
Output. Some of the most famous people, they're known for one thing. They got it right one time.
Yeah.
But it's the output. So that's the same thing in school. The more you do mathematics and the more feedback you get and signaling you get, you start creating the patterns. You'll start putting it together. But it takes an adult typically to give you the feedback and also give you the chances and push you in classroom. So that's what we got to just learn as educators and working with young people. They can all do it. It may take them a little bit longer. They may need more, feedback.
Yeah.
They need to be pushed. But that's what our job is, really.
Yeah.
I like that. I'm sorry. I even like the fact that, seeing what you're saying, that you switched CEO to CVO. Those acronyms right there, I was like, oh, that's a good way, from a chief executive officer to chief vision officer. That right there, I was like, oh, you know what? That's a good way of looking at it. Like, instead of being an executive officer, vision yourself being someone, and that's how I looked at it, and I interpreted it when you wrote that on Instagram. And I was like, that's a good way to tell kids, CEO is good, but right now let's be a CVO and vision where you want to be in life.
Yeah, we have to. Yeah. That's a skill. Futuristic thinking, ideation, those are skills. And young people have to learn that, and you have to couple that with delayed gratification. You can get anything you want. You can get anything you want. You may not be able to get it now.
Is your time going to come?
Yeah, and time is the fourth dimension. I can't get it today, but if I work really hard,
I like that. I'm taking that. I'm taking that from you.
Yeah, whatever I get, you got.
I'm taking that from you. I like that.
Time to the fourth dimension.
Time is the fourth dimension. I like that.
That's what it is.
Fire.
That's what it is.
That's a fact.
So many things can change in time.
That's a fact.
And in long enough time, we won't even be here.
Yeah.
So young people have to understand you could get anything you want, but you have to have focus, discipline, consistency.
Yeah.
You have to put a time element on it.
Yeah.
And educators need to know that also, but you do have to start with the vision. You have to vision at what your life is going to be. You have to think about it.
Yeah.
So oftentimes we have to teach people, because that's a muscle.
Yeah,
Too many people live in the now, kids live in the now, but you have to spend 75% of your time in the now. You got to spend 25% in the future. Because you have to understand how they're connected. Because what you do presently, that tree outside
is going to bloom.
Is only the byproduct of
what you
did 20 years ago or 10 years ago, or however long it takes a tree to.
I'll tell you a story before we get into my segment real quick, right? Like, it's funny with the muscle memory and all that. Like, when I've been saying, like, my daughter, she got the word puzzle, right? I bought her a word puzzle. Every day she does a word puzzle. From the beginning, she was like, oh, but I can't find it. I can't do this. I told her the technique I do. Okay, do this, and that's how you're going to be finding the words. Cool. I think like a week later, just the other day, she just did it like, it started like 5 minutes. She came in, oh, look, I got 5 words already. I said, see how fast that was? Every day you was doing it. Every day you was doing the page. Look how fast you found it now. Now you don't come to me like, oh my God, I can't do this. I can't find it. No, I can't help you with that. I showed you a technique. You continue to do it. every day, repetition. And all of a sudden now, boom, she's smacking out words.
And she started to enjoy it.
Yeah.
And that's a key to life. One of the big things we tell our young people to chase their passion.
Yeah.
I don't tell them that.
Yeah.
Because your passion
could be whatever.
Bring your passion with you. So bring your passion to everything you do.
And every day you go.
Yeah, because then we'll see when you bring your passion and stuff, you'll start to like things you didn't think you like. But we tell black and brown kids a lot to chase your passion. And the thing about it is, at 12 or 13, everybody got the same passion.
Right.
They want to be ball players,
really
the attractive stuff, right? So we got a bunch of people, especially for the NBA, with a limited number of slots. We know that. We don't have to go into the math of that.
Yeah.
But it's not about the same consistency and discipline and fight that you bring to the court. Bring to the math classroom.
Right.
And bring passion to it. And you'll start to, at the time, you'll start to see the patterns. You'll start enjoying it. And that's what we have to start telling you.
And you see what you actually going to fall in line to enjoy, because it's like,
that's really
you really don't know.
Yeah, and then, like, that's really the way how I look at life now. Like, since I practiced for so long with basketball now, it's like any venture I go into, I'm treating it just like that. Like, you know,
right, because
early mornings. So like I kind of look at life and I relate it to sports because it's the same thing. It's just practice,
the discipline,
and then boom, the game right there.
Yeah, because we know when we talk about making money, the people who solve the toughest, thorniest problems are going to make the most money.
That's a fact.
In order to 100%. Do that, you got to put time, consistency. You got to wake up early. You got to think. So those skills apply to everything, and that's what we got to teach our kids. We can't just get up because we're passionate about something. Yeah. Now, passion to keep you going. I'm not saying passion doesn't matter, but we got to. Passion runs out, like you got to stay the course. Yeah. You got to build those skills that you were talking about. Because I know sometimes you looking at your dad and was like, I don't want to get up today. I don't want to do this.
There was a lot of times
some
like
days
that.
I didn't even wake up at all. And I was like,
but you got to build, you know. Yeah. Well, let's go to it.
All right, yeah, let's get into it. You already know Mr. Uncommon questions, but we changed it up. It's Mr. Uncommons. What would you do? Questions. So move this to the side real quick. I have a couple of questions here that y'all gonna pick a card from each, right? And we're gonna answer them. So you can pick one first.
All right.
There you go. Doesn't matter. Pick one.
All right.
You can pick one. And you can pick one, sir.
He's a PG.
Okay. It's friendly. It's friendly. So I'll pick one. So I'll pick one from the middle here. So since you're the guest, we're gonna let you go first.
So I start by reading my card?
Yes, sir.
Oh,
and you're gonna answer it.
Okay. Is it the responsibility of public school systems to teach morals?
Whoa. Nah, that's not your.
Yeah, it is.
Whoa! Yeah, that was fire. That's how true it is, guys.
Yeah, that's good. That just set me up.
Hey, I don't know where that came from. It came from somewhere. So to that again. I'm sorry. Can you repeat that again?
Is it the responsibility of the public school system to teach morals?
All right. So it's a perfect question for you.
Yeah. So I think the long and short of it is,
right, we
spend a lot of time with our young people. Oftentimes, more of the waking hours than their parents.
True.
I don't think too many schools and too many school leaders try to overstep and act like the parents don't matter. We have to understand the parents are the first teachers and educators.
Right.
And that's important. But I think there has to be a marriage between what happens in schools and what happens at homes and our communities. I don't know if it's we're raising young people,
right? So
we have to teach them values, whether they're hard work, discipline, and we also have to teach them morality, morals. Like, should we do this? Could we do this? So I would say, is it the responsibility? It's not the sole responsibility, no, but it is a responsibility. If you have a 5-year-old or 6-year-old in your care, it's more than just math and ELA. Mm-hmm. You got to teach them to be good people.
It's life, yeah,
and care, sure. Definitely. Yeah. Or you shouldn't be around them. So I don't think it's the sole responsibility, but I do think we have a responsibility to have that marriage with home.
I do agree with that for sure.
But y'all set me up though.
That was a good one, yo.
That was a great question.
Look, my head. Look at this, because I always believe in things always happen for reasons, bro. And definitely that one was a reason there. So.
Like a magic trick, Honda. Right?
Yeah, it really was. And mind you, it was the card that was actually on top, sticking out. And he just picked it. So I was like, all right, I guess that's the one. You didn't dig too deep, and that was the perfect one.
It picked him.
There you go, bro. I like
that.
that.
There you go.
There you go.
Perspective, y'all. Perspective. Mine says, which moral dilemmas are the most important ones facing our country? Shit. I mean, I can answer this by saying a lot of people lose what morality is. I said this a lot of times, but if they know what their moral dilemma is in ethical forms, they'll know what it is, how to move certain ways. You know what I'm saying?
What was the question then?
Which moral dilemmas are the most important ones facing our country?
So who? All right, so
I think the dilemma is trying to choose.
Crisis on
trying to choose
people's morals?
Trying to choose the left wing and the right wing, and which one to go to, especially nowadays, because they don't know how to. I mean, it is a personal moral, so I don't know how you go from one side to another. But well, I'm talking about Republican and Democratic and stuff.
Nah, forget politics, man. Like, forget politics, bro. Like,
but it's an important ones facing our country, though.
I mean, look. Well, that's your question. I can't answer it for you, but
I don't know how to answer this.
Like, a lot of shit that's going on right now is a lot of stuff is not morally.
That's what I'm saying. Do we accept it or not? That's what I'm saying. Like, some of us won't and some of us do. Like, how do you choose?
Depends what resonates with your morals.
There you go.
All right. You comfortable with that? We go with that?
Yeah.
It's hard.
It's my card.
What they say
It chose me.
It chose you.
What they say that you gotta play with the cards that you dealt with.
Ooh, damn.
This shit coming out here, bro. Like, damn. All right, cool. All right, so look. If you could sue a very wealthy person and win, would you do it? Fuck yeah. Nah, does that go back to morals though? Man, that's crazy, right?
I mean, but let's say if you get hurt behind it though.
So
you add in context that's not there.
You can't put that in there. Morals, bro.
Damn. All right, bet. So I'll tell you a quick story real quick, right? I'm gonna say that I'm not gonna do it. Why? Because when I was younger, I got into like accidents. I got into a fake car accident. Right? Car. Yeah. You know how back then there's really no cameras around, right? So they would like boom hit each other. They call the cops. They'll do a report. Then you go to the therapy, whatever shit is. Then you get your bread. I never got it, right? I never got it, bro. Like I went for like 4 months. I never got it. I stopped going, right?
That is so funny.
But there was something in me that I'm like, this ain't right. This ain't right.
That you didn't get the money or that you did?
After I didn't get the money, I said,
he said, hold up. Something's not kosher.
Yeah, so I'm doing this for no reason.
I'm doing this for no reason. Something ain't right. So, fast forward, I did get into a real car accident and I did sue and I got my money, right? So, I believe in karma. I strongly believe in karma, man. If this wasn't the right thing to do, I'm not doing it because like my mom always said, like, messed up money flows through your hands like water. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's something that you don't want to obtain and then be punished for it later on, bro. Like, and I'm real big. It might not happen to me. It might happen to my kids, right? I just don't like that energy back. So I guess we go to morals and we'll say, I wouldn't sue. That's my question, right? That's my answer right there.
I think all our question kind of goes with morals, right? Because mine says, would you repackage a gift in a trendy store box to lead a friend to believe you purchased it in there?
There you go.
My answer is no, right? Because like just knowing me, like I know that if you give me something in the trendy store box, I'm gonna look at the tags, see if it really came from there, like the material. I'm gonna feel.
And it's deceiving too, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Like I'm gonna just look at everything. But no, I wouldn't do that though. That's crazy.
Yo, for real.
I wouldn't even feel right myself doing that. Like I feel like I just finessed you, bro. Like, I wouldn't do that at all. So
easy finesse.
All right, cool. So I guess all these cards were based on morals.
That's
right? That was cool. All right, man. So this concludes Mr. Uncommon. What would you do questions?
But going like to what you were saying, right, with the money, right? Let's get into the financial literacy part of this episode. What made you get into financial literacy, right? Because I seen you had posted a video and it was you lost a lot of money, $600K, right? So
600K.
can you break down what happened and what lesson you took from it?
Well, first I need to fake a car accident to get that money back. somebody better watch out.
Yeah, when people are doing that shit now, you seen the cameras that people jump in front of the cars, you just fucking break and bang.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm not saying do it.
Yeah, that's just a joke. I'm not doing that. But honestly, because the lack of financial literacy hurts us all. The common denominator, no matter what job you have or once you become an adult, money. We all use money. We all gain money.
Yeah.
We all earn money, and we understand. If we don't understand the rules of money, it sets us behind. It sets our children behind. Yeah. And my story again is a cautionary tale. Like I was able to when I was a computer programmer. I just came to a company at the right time, and it was 2001. They did an IPO, initial public offering, and as a new employee, they gave me 2,000 shares of a stock that was probably worth around $8 at the time. Each. So you do that quick math, that's $16,000. So a year later, the stock went up to like $10 a share. So when I did that math, I'm like, I ain't passed the ball, but I know a little bit. Yeah. I was able to, I was like, this is me $20,000. Right. So you 21, 22 years old, $20,000.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, facts.
So I cashed out. And then I didn't realize they were going to hit me with so much tax. So that 20, I probably seen about 13.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Yeah. So you know, like
that's a fact.
So, but it was still fine because at 21, 22 years old,
it was free money.
13 and and it's free money. Yeah. It's 13,000. You know, I'm buying my man a PlayStation. You get a PlayStation.
Like feeling like Oprah out there. You get a PlayStation. You get a PlayStation.
That's what it was. And we in Philadelphia. I was like, let's go.
You was lit.
Yeah. So we was there. So then I didn't think anything of it because I was young. But if you look at the stock price of this company now, it hovers at $350 to $400 a share. Sheesh. So you take those 2,000 shares and you multiply that out.
That's what the shares are right now?
Yeah.
And how long ago was this that you had?
2001.
24 years ago. So imagine how much you would have.
So, but again, that's that long-term thinking.
Right.
Delayed gratification versus, and that vision.
You wanted that instant right there. You saw that.
Right. And then again, that's not having people in my life that was like, you could do whatever you want, but don't touch that. Yeah. Chill out. You don't understand.
That's hot.
So, So it's like, if nobody's teaching me about money, how do I know? I don't know how this thing works. I don't know about this thing called compounding interest. And again, the problem is I was educated. I knew mathematics really well. I can do algebra, calculus, or whatever, but compounding interest,
but financial
mathematically, I could do it on paper, but I didn't understand how it worked in the real world,
real life,
and the games and how people. So part of this mission is to get my money back. Like I gotta get my money, but more importantly is people that look like us and people that don't look like us. It could be anybody. It's like you have to learn what to do with your money, and it's very clear. We spend everything. People of color, we have nothing in our bank accounts. Most Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
Yes,
and this is not taught in schools. Or when it is, it's taught in a game way. This is not a game. It's a stock market game.
Yeah. It's real life.
And it's real life, And then people are jumping in. A lot of this stuff now is on social media. So shout out to Troy and Rashad of Earn Your Leisure because they're on social media, but they're doing it in a very thorough in a way that's integrity. Mm-hmm. And they're not selling you on something like, hey, just join my course and you'll get rich.
Yeah. Right.
So a lot of, again, we're susceptible. So just to bring it back to how influential seeing a show on television brought me to college. Now, Instagram, we got to understand, kids on social media and everything is so much. These messages, everybody trying to get rich quick.
It is. And like, especially, like, not to cut you off, but they had, like, things like Forex coming out, NFTs, and it was just so much at once.
Everybody going, get this stock and blah, blah, blah. And it doesn't work like that. So my entry into it was like, so I met with Troy and Rashad, and I said, we started talking, and I wanted to bring, part of the goal was, I'm impressed by these young brothers, what they're doing, and how powerful their message was and how real and thorough it was to really empower people of color to make better financial decisions. So I said, let me try to help to bring that into schools.
Right.
Because again, it goes back to the back of the shirt. Like, let's build strong children instead of fix broken men. You know, so we could get them while they're young and start teaching them these financial lessons. They don't got to go. They don't got to go through it. And it's simple stuff. When you show up at a college campus, they got a T-shirt and a credit card for you.
Oh, nice.
So they start. You get the T-shirt, get the credit card, and they put you in that trap. There's just so many things that we don't. Basic stuff that we're not exposed to, that we don't. It's not that we can't get it. It's just that we don't understand it. So my push is to to really work at getting quality financial literacy curriculum in schools that's culturally relevant also. So one of the great things we do here is, because Troy and Rashad, their whole piece is there's gems or messages through rap music, music that we like. A lot of rappers, entertainers, things like that drop different messages in there. And we just got to pull them out. So the curriculum taps into that. So if you like Jay-Z, Nipsey Hussle, things like that, you'll see pieces or seeds of them in there. Like Kendrick Lamar first famously said, "Money trees is the perfect place for shade." That's a lyric.
Facts.
How do you get a money tree?
Yeah.
Got to plant a seed.
Yeah.
And he says the perfect place for shade. The shade is comfort or leisure. So we gotta unpack that, right?
Yeah.
And then we tell what's the best time to start investing? 20 years ago. What's the second best time investing? Now.
Yeah.
So we gotta learn these. We gotta learn these lessons in a way that young people can understand. So to tie it in a bow, the reason why I got into it, so nobody else has that $600,000 lesson. And nobody's making stupid. Sometimes we make stupid decisions even around college. And things like that. So we're trying to bring those real lessons around money to our young people. And the feedback we're getting, funny enough, the educators who are teaching it love it because they don't know.
So they learn
and
it
they not figuring out. Yeah. And then not to put everybody's, then one thing I do is, like, I ask even people within my organization, let me see your 401k, if they let me, and things like that, or other people, and I help people.
Right.
Because part of Earn Your Leisure's message, and what I agree with is each one teach one.
Facts.
So a lot of people walking around and not understanding the stock market. Let's talk to them a little bit about it, because there's some simple things you can do. And so that's just what we're trying to do, is spread this message, because the common denominator for all of us is money.
Facts. That's a fact.
And let's be real, AI is real. And people don't realize AI. You pair that with humanoids, the robots, and all that stuff like that, their jobs are going to be replaced. And you see it now, like we drive, right? When you go through a toll booth now, they used to be toll booth workers.
Yeah, you don't see them no more.
Yeah, right? I don't think you ever saw them. You saw
I was in the back of the car.
I was messing with you. But yeah, when we were growing up, that was a career. A good career that you could do. You could do 20 years, you get that pension, you collected money. But guess what?
You ain't lying.
They technology the hell out of that, right? Because now they make a use case for it. It's safer because we don't have to merge, right? We don't have to merge. It doesn't slow you down. So it wiped out people, but it wiped out jobs. It wiped out pensions and everything. So that's not stopping. And that's part of my thing with financial literacy, but also technology in schools.
So let me ask you a question real quick, because you're saying the AI and all that, right? Like AI and schools, right? With AI reshaping jobs, will schools as we know it, like, will it even matter 20 years from now?
I think schools are gonna always matter.
Okay.
We just have to. The problem with schools, and honestly, this is the truth, and a lot of people don't mention, I'm talking about urban education.
Okay, right.
In cities like New York City, right? In certain places in New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, DC, you name it, Watts, things like that.
Right.
We're already 20, 30 years behind.
Word.
We don't know what the hell is going on in the industry. And part of it is because we don't reskill or retool our educators.
Yep.
There's still educators that don't know what ChatGPT is.
Word.
Have no clue. What's that?
Word.
They don't know what AI tools are. And I'm not disrespecting them or saying, I'm not saying anything. It's just that education in urban for black and brown kids is always 20 years behind. It's always 20 years behind. So we have to think about that and say, people of color, black and brown people, we're not at these tables in terms of technology, STEM careers, anything.
Yep.
We're not. We're not chemists. We're not physicists. We're not pilots. We're not, So oftentimes we're just the recipients of products and services, but we're not building these things. So schools are always going to matter. How they look and what we teach,
different thing.
we can change, and we have to. We have to get smart about these things, and we have to but at a certain point, we have to have this vision, like we were talking about before, to bring black and brown young people to the forefront and say, you need to be in these industries. So you have a passion, you love music, but you're going to learn how to solve these hard problems there. Because James Dolan, the owner of the Knicks, he's the owner of the Knicks, and that's through his father and all that like that. But he got a band, but he ain't trying to make it as a musician. And we got to say that we can do both, but we need people that look like us solving hard problems, difficult problems.
Yes.
Because that's where you make the money and things like that. And we need to learn how to use these tools and take advantage of these things because it's not stopping.
Yeah.
And the problem is we're still arguing about things that we argued 20 years ago in schools.
That's true. Yeah, word.
We're still talking about this.
Right.
And then if you look at Instagram, and which just pisses me off, you got principals and teachers dancing, playing around,
TikToks
doing
and
TikTok,
shit.
and I'm like, you don't know what's going on. You don't know. You don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's like you're trying to become a TikTok star. Hey, I don't begrudge anybody. I think we just need to understand, like Busta Rhymes famously said a long time, we got 5 years left. They were talking about Y2K at the time, but this AI revolution, machine learning, humanoids, these things, they're coming at a rapid rate.
They really are.
Technology jumps every 18 months beyond belief. And we're teaching machines how to learn.
Word.
And have rational thinking and things like that. The implications are crazy. And part of it is, I think some jobs are going to be lost, but we know when there's new technology and new revolution, new jobs are created.
Yes.
But the problem is, are we going to be, or people who look like us, people we care about, are we going to be on the forefront? Or are we going to still be begging the government for services and assistance, things like that? Or are we going to be at the forefront? So that's part of what I want to do, and that's part of what my school does. Is like everything in education is cool, but we need to focus on how do we keep people on a bleeding edge. Yeah, because that's important for me, and that's why we got to get in front of the financial literacy stuff, because we can't keep being behind and making money and losing money, not doing the right thing with artificial intelligence and technology and quantum computing and all that. We got to get more people in the field so they can start making the solutions. Whether we're talking about pharmaceuticals and things like that, we need more of everything, because we don't have that many right now. We need more of everything. I need to see black and brown doctors. So we're not talking about our mothers and our daughters being mistreated when they go to the doctor because people look like them and care about it. So of course this country is big, and we never gonna have a national agenda on education, which is part of which there's a big problem. But as people of color, we got to get hip.
Definitely.
And that's not happening. We're not getting hip around what's happening.
That's why I always tell people, like, because I'm big on like security and stuff like that, because I'm a locksmith, right? So I tell people when they come to me, I need a security job. So I tell them, yeah, that's cool, but that's kind of like fading away. And the reason why I say that is because some security officers is just being there just to be there, a deterrent to the company, right? So I tell them, how about this? Learn how to run a camera from that corner, right? And then you get the wires all across the ceiling to this corner over here, then we could talk business. If you can learn how to do that by running cable, learning that alone, then maybe we can talk some type of security job for you. I know you're talented. So for you to just sit there at a chair wasting your talent, I don't think you should do that. Let's focus more on installing the camera system, putting it into the computer, and learn that than actually just staying there doing nothing.
And I love that, because somebody's going to look at that and say, wait, I know how to make this business owner money. Save this business owner money. There's virtual doorman.
There you go.
There's people in India watching stores in the United States for you, calling the cop automatically. And then think about when a robot is going to get intelligent enough and actually can't get hurt. So that's what we don't think about. I would rather have a robot and guarding a piece of thing that can't get hurt, can't get shot, stabbed, or whatever. Or if it does, it doesn't matter. And It simply can say, "Do you belong here? Show me your ID."
Word, some simple
And
shit.
if you don't belong here, get out before I do.
Right,
blah blah
right.
blah blah blah. You can't hurt it.
And
And that's
A lot of
gonna
people will be
solution.
scared of
Right.
robots too.
No,
Talk
but
about
and then think
Terminator,
about
right?
it.
Like
Think
the
about it.
Terminator.
How much do you have to pay that
Nothing.
robot? Nothing. That robot going to
Yeah,
say,
that's true.
"I need a day off." No, I need overtime. I need to go see my mom. It's not going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right. Like, we have to retool and reskill ourselves and upskill ourselves so we're not relics of the past.
Exactly.
And it's going to move rapidly.
Yes, because I even tell people too, like, you know, the function of technology moving so rapidly. Why don't you learn how to fix the broken robot? Fix that Amazon bot that's delivering your Uber Eats or whatever. Learn how to fix that, because eventually, once they take the delivery man's job, who's going to fix the bot?
Right.
So why don't us as people, you know, brown and colored people, go in there and be like, yo, I want to learn how to fix this bot. You know, like, shout out to Angel Roselle, right? She created a program, like a STEM program for people to create, what was it again? It was switches?
It was for cybersecurity.
Cybersecurity switches. So that right there, she opened it for everybody in urban community.
And think about it. Cybersecurity is not going to slow down.
It's not.
No.
So why are we not talking about to our kids of color? You need to be in cybersecurity. This world is not going to get less digital. It's going to get more digital.
Exactly.
So no matter what, we know there are going to be jobs there. So we just have to have that vision and say, what does the world look like 20 years from now?
There you go. That's the power
Yeah,
right there.
and like there's really like that's the big debate now, right? Because there's a lot of like misinformation that's going on with AI. Like, I just seen a post and it was like, your doctor is using ChatGPT, so start eating healthy, and it's like, but we should be using ChatGPT. And I recently seen that it's banned in New York schools, like, to use ChatGPT. So like, what's your take on that, and how do you implement, you know, AI into the curriculum?
Well, I think at first you're scared of something, right? I seen video like I forget the decade or whatever, where people were scared to use credit cards.
Word.
So first there's fear, and you think this is going to take over, but then you can't slow it down. And also, people don't realize we've been using AI for years.
Facts.
People just don't know that, you know.
Yeah,
that's a
like,
fact.
so AI is this that now the acceleration of it is crazy, but we can't stop it. Something you can't stop, you can't stop it, because whether you're banning from schools, it's not like they're not going home and using it.
Yeah.
So in schools and school leaders and educators, we just have to ask better questions, and give them more thorny problems that require a human element, and because there's other intelligences, you know, that we can tap into, and because right now a kid can go home and say, do all my homework for me, put the problems in, and go
Right,
from there.
right.
A kid can do that. Math problems, everything. AI do it for them. So we have to rethink what education looks like now, and I think that's healthy in anything, because great businesses do it. Great businesses think about how they're going to kill themselves. You have to, so you won't get stale and bring new things. So I think education needs a refresh, and there's plenty of schools doing it. It's not like this is not happening. There's a lot of schools globally, and even in the United States, New York City, Philadelphia, there's amazing educators out there, amazing principals out there rethinking education, rethinking what the purpose of the school is. But saying we're going to ban AI, like, kids got phones, it's not going to stop.
It ain't gonna stop.
It's not going to stop, really. But I think we just have to rethink, what are we positioning our kids for, and what are we upskilling, retooling them for. And a lot of people are not willing to have that conversation. And part of the problem is K-12 schools do not talk to industry. So what are we preparing kids for? And I also want to ask educators and principals, what the hell are you preparing kids for if you're not talking to corporate America?
That's a fact.
If you don't even know what's going on in corporate America,
fact.
what are you preparing them for?
Yeah, 100%.
You've never spoken to a Jamie Dimon, CEO of JP Morgan Chase. Never spoken to him. So you don't know what they're looking for in the job market.
Facts.
And that's part of our issue. And AI is just another scary thing that is going to keep our kids behind. And schools that learn how to embrace it, use it, and figure out what the next iteration of jobs and
They'll be advanced,
life
for sure.
is, their kids are going to be ahead. And we see it when our kids go to college.
Yeah, I think like the AI definitely, like, the whole curriculum needs to be changed up for sure, like, and to implement that. I just think AI needs to be taught better. I think they banning it maybe too because they'll have that whole stigma of, well, like you said, kids using it at home. they doing their work problems, they're doing the essay, they're doing whatever comes out of it, right? So they're making it feel like they're taking the easy way out. AI don't have to be used. It could be used that, but not to say that it's the easy way out. You still got to put your thoughts into it. You still got to put your emotions into it so you can actually get all these stuff. Use it, but use it the right way. I think it needs to be taught the right way instead of just being out there. Ah, here you go. Enter whatever you want. Use it. People take that out of context. Like, okay, well, I'll do that. Boom.
Yeah, and we're still learning.
And we're still learning, right?
And the scary part is AI is learning as we're learning.
That's a fact.
And they're getting smarter and things like that.
Two steps ahead.
Yeah,
That's a fact.
But we're still learning how to use this and how to use this in the space. So I'm not gonna beat us up too much because we're not technologists in schools. In a lot of schools, we're not people in industries, and that's the part of the problem with education. When I said like in some, and that's not everyone. There's a lot of organizations, schools, charter management organizations, districts doing really great work and leading charge. But for many of us, we're still 20 years behind with materials, things like that. Yeah. And now this technological revolution that we saw with the internet when I started in college, and that was a boom, we're seeing it again.
2000.
Yeah. And we still got to realize like we got to get hip to this every 15 to 20 years something. And we just got to get smarter and thinking about education.
You know why mine's, I'm gonna say something before we go jump into your thing. Like, you know why I'm not scared now of this AI thing? Because point to what you just finished saying right now, that before when the internet first came out, that was a scary thing right there because that was nothing near to what we had growing up, right? We started off with like, you saw little beepers. Oh shit, we got the beepers and this little cell phone with the minutes. When you started seeing AOL online, it was scary when Y2K supposedly was gonna come through. Like, yo, shit's gonna shut down and all that, right? We passed that.
And and you're right. And this is the point I'll make is that with the internet online boom, a lot of millionaires and billionaires were made.
There you go.
We didn't participate.
Not at all.
That's how I'm tied to financial literacy.
Not at all.
We're in a new revolution, the AI revolution.
Yes.
Right. We're in a new one.
Yeah.
How are we going to benefit of it financially?
It's time now.
You got to start understanding financial literacy because a lot of millionaires and billionaires are being made
as
by
we speak.
investing in these companies, things like that. We're still not part of it.
That's a fact.
And then what we're going to see again, I think one of the next jumps is going to be the robots. How do we get financially? Well, how do we get more in these things like that? And there's ways to do. That's where financial literacy comes in, and then the space economy. The space economy that a lot of people we don't even talk about. I went to a conference in Abu Dhabi.
Okay.
Why are people from around the world coming together to talk about space? Why?
That's going to be the hideout.
Science is happening in space. Companies being made in space. Millionaires and billionaires are going to be made from the space economy, from the AI revolution, from quantum computing, from space. We're not talking about these things and we're not learning. It doesn't have to be your genius. You can invest in someone's genius.
There you go.
You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to be Steve Jobs. There you go. Apple stock in 2005 was like $1.
Facts.
Yeah. Word.
So we just got to start getting, and don't quote me on that. I don't know that I'm not.
It was cheap for sure.
You know, it was cheap. Let's just say it was cheap.
Cheap.
Cheaper than what it is today. It's trading at like 180 or whatever like this. You we keep missing that. But look at some of our rappers and things like that were getting a lot of money. Like if they put $1 million in Apple and they would be their money. So we got to get smart about money. Yeah. We got to get smart about technology, and we got to learn how to bridge those two together.
There you go.
Because we can't have people that don't look like us start these companies, make millions and billions off of it, and a lot of people catch the wave, hitch themselves to it, and they're prospering from it, and we just buy the product.
We just looking at them like, all right, because it is true. Buy the product. That's the most key right there.
Just buying the
We're
product.
buying Apple phones, and I like Apple phones, right? But guess what? Every year a phone comes out, what happens? We go buy it.
And if we'd invested $2,000 in Apple 10 years ago when it first came out,
there you go.
Yeah,
we'd be in a different position.
There you go.
So we just got to get
we gotta get educated,
smarten up,
man, for sure.
So we just got to smarten up, and I think that's why I think school still has a place.
Okay, right.
You know,
right.
and that's
There
where
you go.
schools play. We can help people get smarter about technology. We can help people get smarter about financial literacy. We can help young people develop, you know, because we are youth developers. We can help them gain some, should I do this versus could I do it?
Right.
And that's where there's still an importance of the school. There's still like
They're still youngins growing up.
Yeah,
They're still,
we just got to update our operating system. Not to make
there
it
you go.
the school's operating system got to update. We still got old systems.
There
that
you
we
go. Way
we've been
super
doing.
old system for sure.
Dry
Like,
system.
yeah, that should be crazy.
Yeah,
man.
so yeah,
Be dry as hell.
that's my place. Yeah,
That's what's up.
So Josh,
We're going into my segment now.
Yes, sir.
Jconfident's Pickup Thoughts. Yo, you know what I just thought about?
what, Josh?
Leadership is like tending a garden in concrete. Most don't believe anything will grow, but the ones with vision plant anyway. Principal Trav Brown didn't just plant seeds, he built ecosystems. Because when your roots are strong, you don't wait on the right conditions, you create them. All right, a question for Mr. Trav Brown. You've led from the front lines in some of the toughest schools environments. What's something people misunderstood about leadership in our communities that you wish they truly knew?
About leadership.
And running school systems the way you
Yeah,
did.
I think the biggest thing is our understanding of leadership is all wrong because we always see these figures that lead from the front. And they think a leader is the person in the front going where nobody else goes and telling and rallying troops. And there's different type of leaderships.
Okay.
When people can't see and it's scary, you lead from the front. You have to because the troops are not following. So you got to lead from the front. You got to do something daring and say it's safe.
Right.
But the challenge that we see with leadership, especially leadership of color, you know, we get images, the movie Lean On Me.
yeah.
You know, Lean On Me, man with the bat in front. That's our
That's
our
a
model,
leader.
archetype of what a leader is. This guy in the front, blah, blah, blah. To get kids to get those proficiency rates higher, to get people to move, you know, and become intellectuals and schools to really move forward, you got to learn to lead from behind. It's a different type of leadership. We love the uphill leadership.
Facts.
We're going to climbing the hill. But what happens when the plains are flat? You know, and everything is, you know, said where you don't have to chain the doors like Joe Clark anymore.
I was about to say we don't have to follow Joe Clark every time.
right. But this is what we see.
Yeah,
we see
facts.
these mythical figures that kick ass, and they don't take no stuff like that. But when we're talking about moving a company, moving an organization forward, we need a different type of leadership. You need more EQ. You got to learn how to work with people.
Yeah.
You can't just, you know, you're fired because you're not listening to me. But we get these that
It's like my way or the
my
highway.
and like that.
Yeah.
And that's not about building. That's not how you build a community.
That's a fact.
That's not how you move organizations. And that's not how you keep people with you. So I would say, to answer your question, we have to understand how to master all the different types of leaderships given the situation. I know this uphill leadership is sexy. When you coming in, you ain't taking no shit. Nobody can tell you anything. But that's not leadership. Not when your people are smart.
Facts.
When you hire really smart people, you got to do more shutting up and more listening. But that's not taught. It's not taught, and that's not what seems sexy. But when we want to move organizations, we got to be really good at community building, people building, problem solving amongst groups, and we got to bury the ego. The ego is the enemy.
Yeah.
You know, but we're taught, you know, our famous guy, you know, we see is Joe Clark, you know, or, you know, and so many other. Jim Belushi was wild. I don't know if y'all know the movie The Principal.
We were just talking about that shit the other day.
That's a wild movie.
So let me tell you something
That's
real
a
quick.
wild movie.
Let me tell you something real quick.
Me and my brother was talking about that too, like 2 weeks ago.
Literally.
Early today, right? I was telling him, right, when I was doing, you know, the little journalist, I was like, yo, you know what I'm gonna name this episode on the audio? The Principal. I said, yo, this is bringing me back to the movie, bro. I swear to God. And he said the same thing.
He was in the school with a motorcycle,
Yes. Yeah.
fighting thugs, shooting
Yeah.
back,
That's it.
and people expect that, and they
Yeah.
expect that from people of color also.
Yeah.
So when people come to my school or whatever, most of them that we didn't even know you were the principal,
You see it?
right? Because I'm not supposed to always be on the front line yelling. Like sometimes leadership is quiet,
You observe.
it's reflective, it's not always loud out front, you know. And I've got to show you I'm the leader. You know, if I got to tell you I'm the leader and prove to you I'm the leader, then I'm not the leader.
That's ignorance.
Then I'm not. Somebody else is. So we got to learn that. And there's a Harvard professor, Linda Hill, that talks about leadership from behind. And we gotta have a little bit more different qualities
Right.
to get us to the finish line. So I would think that's what we got to start. And those are conversations because a lot of leaders need that help, especially a lot of our black and brown brothers and sisters that go into positions of leadership, especially in schools, we need more training around that. We want to be on Front Street.
Facts.
Yeah.
And it's not out about us being on Front Street. You see it on Instagram and TikTok. I wish we would get off that stuff. Like really
I don't even
showing
got
off.
TikTok on my phone. Like, that
Yeah,
shit.
yeah. But I wish educators, honestly,
Yeah.
like I'm not saying get on it, show your stuff or whatever, but let's show real images and videos of leadership.
Yeah,
And I
real
like
life
those
stuff,
real
man,
life
like,
stuff
for
and the
sure.
trials and tribulations. But there's a lot more softer skills that we need to really develop skills, develop students, develop schools, develop students, and really just grow anything that we're not shown.
Right,
So that's what I would say really. So that up the hill leadership, fight. Nobody believes in me. That's sexy, right? Everybody wants that.
It look good.
It looks good. You
Look
kicking
good.
ass. You the man. You the woman and things like that. But that gets us from bad. It gets us from terrible or bad or in the cellar to right above water. But we see not too many black and brown schools are performing at 80% proficiency, 90% proficiency. They just we always hit this. We always hit this floor.
plateau,
It's
the
like a
ceiling.
high floor.
Yeah.
It's a high floor, but I want a high ceiling. But the reason why is because we have to change our leadership style. Now it's just not about kicking in doors and making sure people are doing what they got to.
I think it's putting everybody in the right positions.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's part of it. And talking to people and understanding people are really smart. And I think the last thing I'll say is for leadership, really, we have to also learn about leadership. There's been great leaders that have done amazing work in education, but also outside of education. And we got to look to those things because the challenge that we see in urban education, you have a lot of people that are very young that become principal. They made me a principal at 28.
No, snap.
Why the hell would they do that? 28 years old.
They got the right one, though.
No, that long time ago, that wasn't
That wasn't the right one.
No, that wasn't the right one. That wasn't the right person.
But your path was already there to be where you was
but
at.
I think a lot of people got. I don't want to say people got hurt and things in the time. I don't think they got hurt, but it could have been better.
Yeah.
But I think we just have to do a better job at showing people what leadership is,
Yeah, for
having
sure.
those discussions. But us as leaders also, we got to learn and read and understand it. Anything is a craft that we have to do, and we can't just
I
think
think
we're always right.
everybody feels like they could be leaders. I think everybody feels like they're leaders. I swear to God, until you really sit there and ask them, like, tell me everything that it takes to be a leader.
Yeah.
And they can't put at least 2 or 3 things down.
And I think, I agree. And sometimes people don't realize what leadership is.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of EQ. Like you have to have a lot of emotional intelligence. Got to learn how to work with people. But also you got to learn how to scale and build systems.
There you go.
And build, and things have to integrate and they have to align and things like that. And you have to learn how to solve really interesting problems that are not right there.
That
Right.
part.
And that just doesn't, and what I call them are shark problems versus deer problems. Like everybody can solve the shark. Like if I bring a shark in here, we got to solve that. We got to kill that shark, right? And that's what we go after. But if we see a deer, we'll say, "Oh, that's nice. That's a nice little deer." But if we don't understand that deer is going to multiply, and then the deer's going to eat all our food.
Yeah,
That's why they have hunting season. That's why we kill deer. Because if you don't, they'll take over. But we don't see those things, and then we have to. And in leadership, we call those adaptive problems. The technical problems are easy.
Right.
You know, like, oh, the camera's not working. Let's go fix that camera. That's a technical problem, right?
Yeah,
But,
looking too late.
right. But if something's not gelling amongst this group here, and we
Right.
don't know why, but the
seems
show is
off.
going down and the quality, that's more of an adaptive problem. Now we got to look, and we just can't have an answer. We might have to sit and think about it. We might have to do some research. We might have to talk to everybody.
Yeah.
And that's just a simple example, but those are the difference between those two problems. And it's easy for me to go solve that. So what we see in leadership is that more leaders are like firefighters. They put out fires all day and they're busy.
Right.
But when people watch me, they were like, "Mr. Brown, some days you don't do anything."
You don't want to be a firefighter.
And I'm like, because, if it's urgent and important, it ain't my work. It ain't. I got to think out. I'm not the firefighter. I got to put this organization 5 years ahead, 10 years ahead, and that takes time to think and be quiet and talk to people and go talk to people in the industry. And too many times leadership don't understand it. If you look at a corporate Fortune 500 CEO, they talking to people.
That's a
They're
fact.
bringing people in because they got to know what's happening. If you're a school leader and you're just in your building, you're not talking to people, how do you know what's going on?
You don't know what's going on outside.
How do you know what's going on? That's why I tell people, invite me to your school because I'm stealing your stuff.
There you go.
I'm probably a school leader. Everybody's like, I can't leave my school. I can't leave my school. I leave my school all the time, and I go different places because I know there's other positive deviants. I know there's another school in the Bronx that's kicking butt somewhere. Yep. I need to see it. I need to talk to you, and I need to steal it to bring it back home to my kids.
Each one teaches.
And that's what leadership is. It's about you're not the all-knowing.
100%.
You know, and you don't know, especially if your results, if 20% of your kids are proficient, you don't know it.
Yeah, word, not for sure.
Get out the way or go get help. So you got to go around and find what we call positive deviants. There's somebody with your population serving the same kids that you're serving that's doing it well. Go find that person. That's what they do in business.
Yeah.
But we don't take that in urban education.
That's
but
true.
I just think to tie it up is around there's different types of leadership, and I think we're attracted to one. And we need to get proficient in all of them.
That's what's up, man. So real quick to conclude my segment, from teacher to founder, from classrooms to ballrooms, Principal Trav Brown has stayed rooted in purpose and fearless in progress. You're not just changing test scores, you're changing trajectories. Thank you for reminding us that real leadership starts below the surface. Appreciate you, Trav.
You know what that brings to like The Walking Dead, when you go like, it's like, you say you go to different schools.
Oh, you go to different.
They got different groups, right? So if you go out there, they got a whole different leader over there. Different there, you go to different got leaders over there.
You learn how they survive,
how they surviving and all that, right? So that just brought me back to when you said that. I just watched the show the other day. So.
Same idea.
Same idea, right?
But I like how you not only go after the parents and stuff like that, but you also attack the teachers. You did a dissertation in college when you spoke about the teachers. How did that? How can you explain to us what was that about?
Well, I just want to cloud and attack them.
Oh no, I know.
I didn't.
You challenged them.
Yeah. Well, I just I studied, especially because what I saw, like a lot of my work is around the disciplining of students of color, and I just realized again is that it brings it back to the conversation we were having before, the chances Black and brown kids get.
Okay.
And I just seen that. When we go up from elementary school to middle school to high school, we give them less chances. And now we think they're going against our authority, and we want to punish them for that. Right. So there's a natural tension that happens with, first of all, there's an adultification where we see 12 and 13-year-old Black and brown kids more like 20 and 25 That's a thing. So you treat, you think they're older and we say things like you should know better. No, a 15-year-old doesn't know better. My son is 14 and I got to be a broken record to him, but I keep giving him chances because he's my son.
Right.
I'm sure there's sometimes he wasn't like before, but I can't. If he wasn't my son, it would be a different situation. But I'm stuck with you. So what I tried to examine is the tension when kids mess up and how teachers feel about it and the responses of the school. That's what I'm trying to think about, because a lot of educators will tell you this. When a kid is disruptive in the classroom, they're typically pissed off with administration's response. Okay. So you hear things about the kid just gets pulled out of the classroom and gets spoken to, then they back in the class, or they come back with candy or this thing. Right. So I had to work with. So it wasn't real. It was actually working with the teachers to better understand how they feel in those moments when kids are disrupted. So try to get that story underneath about how they feel about it, because that's really important.
Definitely.
Yeah. And then how they feel when certain responses happen, really. And to come up with a better solution around how do administrators and support staff respond when a teacher raises their hand and say, I need help with the student.
There you go.
Because that's the question, and really better that student-teacher experience. Because whether we know it or not, in some schools, if we don't examine that, there's a lot of vigilante justice that happens inside classrooms. So if we feel that we can't get help or support from administration, we start doing things like we give you the pass and tell you to go to the bathroom and stay out all period. Or let you walk out, or they just keep kicking you out of class, but they don't send you anywhere. They just tell you to stand outside the classroom. It's not the alert, or they put you in the back of the classroom. So I don't think teachers are mean people at all. I love educators in my school and all throughout the country. I just think that there's conversations that we need to have when students are off task, disruptive, things like that. And it needs to be real conversations. It's taboo to act like there's no bad kid and things like that or whatever. I don't think there's any bad person, but you could be bad in that day or that moment. And then teachers experience that. And there's a hurt that happens, a disrespect or whatever, that the teacher can't continue to teach. Or they're not their best self. If a kid tells you to shut the F up, again, I was trained differently. So I could take that. I know how to manage it. Not everybody can. Like I worked in some of the toughest environments where somebody tell you to shut the F up. And my response was different. I remember one of my favorite students, Angel, little boy from Brooklyn. He went off on me because I wouldn't let him do something. Mr. Brown, F you, I hate you, in front of the whole school. And I said, I'm upset that you feel this way about me. There's something wrong in our relationship. I'll meet you in my office tomorrow so we can sort it out. And I walked away. And we sat in the office the next day and we spoke about it. But this kid was cursing at me and everything. I didn't feel, personally, Travis Brown, didn't feel no kind of way because I said there's a breach in a relationship. We're going to figure this out. We're going to work this out. We're going to work this out. Everybody don't have that armor. Yeah. It hurts. Yeah. And I'm not going to be dismissive of that. Some people can't go on and teach if that happens. That student needs to be removed and something else needs to happen. But when you're not listening to the educator to say, this disrespecting my classroom, this is, my classroom, no respect. Also, that relationship with my student is harm. Yeah, we can't just throw that kid back in the classroom. Yeah, or when they come out and they see that kid chilling with their feet up, talking to you, blah 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 blah. They lose trust in the organization because yes, we're supposed to protect young people, but educators also coming to work. We're supposed to protect them too. Yeah, that's why 8 hours of the day. That was my work really around examining those relationships around high school kids and the teachers and how. What they think, how they feel in those moments of tension to try to come up with a solution that when a kid acts up, how do we get feedback from the educator around what they need in a moment? Because that's important. You need to, when I go to your door and you saying this kid is acting up, I need to know if you're comfortable with that kid coming back in the classroom. I shouldn't be able to make that decision for you. You might need time. You might need headspace. There's so many things in those moments, and educators put it on the line. Or they deal with a lot of young people, things like that. So their feelings, their emotions, and what they think matters. So that's what we were looking at, really, to kind of find a solution to how do we appropriately respond to classroom disruption. One that leaves the teacher heard and not feeling disrespected, right? And one that also values the student and gives them due process. So that's a tough tension point.
And that's giving like learning the leadership part of it.
Yeah, the
learning how to deal with every party that's involved in the situation.
Yeah, and just by you walking away and knowing your students, that's the emotional intelligence that you're talking about. Just by knowing that this person might be going through something. I just don't feel the way our relationship is going. You know what? Let's talk about it tomorrow.
But that's tough.
That is.
And a great educator, Rachel Izzy, she taught me that her thing was Q-tip. Quit taking it personal.
Oh.
So I've learned I've learned that.
Personal.
Yeah, so there's things that and then we learned certain things that I learned that through her and understand that when we on both sides, there's a rope, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's a tug of war. So we learn to drop the rope.
Okay.
So you got, as an adult, you got to learn to drop the rope and actually get on the other side of the rope. Oh. So you're like, I'm on your side, but I'm on your case.
Don't let that go over your head, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's also the way I had to learn how to approach students, like especially young men students as they get older. Like they look at you like, I could take you.
Yeah.
But if you're in front of them, looking at them, imposing, they want to be. But if you go to the side of them, always when I speak to young male students and I know they're upset or whatever, you have to put yourself in a position where you're almost
not threatening.
So you get on the side. I talk to them from the side. I don't look because I'm not trying to be, and I put my hands in my pockets.
Okay.
See, so body language is big. Right. I'm glad you said that. Body language is huge.
But again, it is. But then sometimes we're talking about men who are very prideful creatures by nature.
Right.
Talking to young men. If a young man in the school, 17 years old, said, you know what? Shut the F up.
Yeah, it works.
So you see a lot. It's a lot of. So we got to talk about all that stuff, and we don't talk about it real. We got to really, and
gonna take that approach different now. I'll be honest, y'all. No, that right there when because I don't like to intimidate like kids and all that, but that going to the side and be like, yo, listen, man, like you know, like make them feel like you said safe, like they're not feeling like you talking down to someone. Like
Right.
on the side of them is a good approach than being in front of them.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like oppressed.
It don't feel like oppressed,
But
right?
that's how we do. And one thing we've learned, you know, in my time at the New York City Department of Education, there's a code in a discipline book called a B-21. B-21.
What's that?
And that's a B-21 is when they don't listen to you, when they don't listen to your command. Most suspensions happen when it starts with a B-21. Take your hat off.
Okay, got you. There you go.
You heard the way, like, nah, I ain't taking it. Then I run, because you're a kid. Then I run up on you and press you. I told you to take your hat off. Now we in this. So it's a it's called the escalation pathway. So it started something small. I just want you to take your hat off.
Yeah.
But take your hat off.
It's
And
the
you
way
like,
you delivered it.
I'm 16. Well, nah. And then you feel some kind of way. So then I cut you off in the hallway. Yeah. So these things happen in school. So disrespect goes to a 5-day suspension because now this kid just told you to shut the F up. I smacked it out of you. But it started where
you saying,
or you could just say, take your hat off, and the kid, so you didn't have to say, take your hat off. And the kid like, all right, and they play you. So you like, wait.
I'm being played.
So those feelings and emotions in there. So then you do something like, we're human. And we don't talk about that human element in schools and things like that. Yeah. So most kids, black and brown kids, actually get suspended for things. It's not they're not getting caught. It's not weapons. That's what people don't realize. It's not weapons. It's not drugs. Right. The drugs, more white students get suspended for bigger infractions. Black and brown kids get suspended for disrespect that's escalated.
I got suspended a lot of times for that right there, for being disrespectful, bro. It wasn't never some other shit like
right.
Always,
so
bro, like
we just need to retool and reskill teachers around that stuff and systems around that because that's what it is. And so that's kind of what my research is on and things like that. And that's what I'm excited about because it's about how do you give young people more chances, but you have to keep the dignity of the teacher and the student. Because once we're robbed of dignity, we ain't got people ready to fight.
Yeah,
you know?
Even worse. But
you strip somebody of their dignity,
and in public too,
right?
Everybody,
and we have to learn that. You put and we have to tell people like this, if you give a kid the stage, performers perform on stage.
There you go.
So you have to remove the stage. So there's certain things and skills we have to all learn. I have to always remind myself because anybody will act a fool when you take their dignity publicly. All bets are off.
That's a fact.
And we do it to teachers a lot sometimes, unknowingly. We do that to teachers. We do. There's things that we do to teachers that's wrong as administrators and things like that makes them feel unsafe and harm and on the stage. And we do it to kids a lot. And we see those types of so we got to have those conversations in schools so we have healthy schools and people who have their dignity, have their integrity, and can come to work and be safe, man, woman, child. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah. I mean, I like that, man, because real quick, because I know like a few teachers, and they tell me that sometimes it's tough. And you know, out of everything that they go through, not one person has ever asked them, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
And that's like one of the toughest things for teachers, that they go through so many things of experiences through many different types of kids with different type of personalities that they never get asked, like, are you okay? How's your day? Is everything okay? So that you doing that right there, that's why I was really real big on that dissertation, because I never really thought of asking teachers, like, why do you do it that way? You know what I'm saying? And the way you explained it, that, you know, you're putting too much of that on them instead of asking, like, wait a minute, why are you acting like that? Nah, there's something wrong between us. Like, let's talk about it later. Walk away. We come back to it another time.
Give you time to like.
And a lot of educators are skilled with that. And one of the things that we just have to face is that in black and brown communities, we get sometimes we don't have a lot of seasoned vets either. So that's teacher training. There's a lot of ththings that we have to figure out in education. There's a lot. The state of education in our school in our system is not the brightest everywhere. There's a lot of bright spots,
right there.
But there are more dull spots that we have to improve. I think one of the things that we have to get better at is at that point of tension when somebody feels someone harmed them or did them wrong, how do we solve those things between teacher and students? Because we can't expect teachers to be robots, not feel wrong, not feel mistrust with us if we don't build those things. And one of my early coaches, this really changed my life as a principal. She said, "Travis, you're on crack for kids." And I was like, "Yeah, that's good." And she's like, "That's wrong. You can't be on crack for kids. You have to be on crack for the adults. You have to care about the adults." Also. And one of the biggest problems in urban education is that we think the teachers are the problem. And that only if we had better teachers and we had better this and they did this and they did that and they did that, then our schools would get better.
And they're not putting them in safe environments for them to feel in a good way.
We have to get on crack for them.
Right.
We have to understand and create the conditions that they can do their best work and support them through their life challenges. Shit happens out there. Like, how are we supporting the whole teacher?
Right.
And I had to get smarter about that. So that's why I'll invite y'all to the school. Y'all see, y'all can even see the amenities that our teachers have, the workspace that they have.
Nice.
We spend a lot of time, energy, effort, and resources in creating an environment where teachers actually want to come into work and really care about it's from where their workspace. We got to treat them with dignity if we want them to do dignified
That's what I'm saying.
work.
Like putting them in a safe space. Like they want to. Yeah, they want to be there. Not letting them like, you feed you to the lions now. Like, go ahead.
And a lot of administrators, and a lot of administrators also are jaded by the system and hurt too. There's a lot that needs to be healed in an education system. That's why it's, in some places it's really poor. But as administrators, we got to grow up a little bit and help our people and protect our people and talk with our people. Like I would say, the reason why we got to talk with them is because it's very clear to me. You either hire smart or dumb people. I'm not in the business of hiring anybody dumb.
Yeah,
so anybody that's on my staff, they're smart.
You gotta be worth something. Like,
So
for sure.
right. So if you're smart, you hire smart people, right?
Makes sense.
If you're dumb, you hire dumb people. So if you have dumb people, that means you're dumb, right? So I fashion myself
In a nutshell.
as smart or somewhat smart. So I hire smart people. You don't hire smart people and not listen to them. That's dumb.
That is.
So
good sequence.
Yo, word.
right? So that's what we got to start doing. So we have to listen to our people. We have to support our people. We have to build systems with our people. And that's not school business. That's just life, organizations, everything. And I think we got to get smarter about that as school leaders. But think about it. A principal, what leadership training do they go through?
Facts.
A Fortune 500 CEO, average age of a Fortune 500 CEO is 54, 55. So you've gone through it. You've led departments and things like that.
Yeah, right.
Look, me, I was a classroom teacher for 4 years. They made me a principal.
And they jumped right on it. You jumped up a lot of
I've seen that happen too a lot in the school, and in like schools actually, like they would jump quickly to a principal. I'm like,
you're my age.
Yeah.
And of course, there's a need. That's why they, do it and things like that. And there's a lot of reasons for it, but we also have to understand the unintended consequences of it. That there's a lot of people who are not ready for the leadership walk, and we try to support them. But a life has to change. A lot has to change. There's a difference between a person who's had a life. Because you have a son, you might take a different approach to raising young men.
Right.
Because you're a father. Right. Versus, like when I became a principal, I didn't have any children. I didn't have any health issues. Heterosexual male, making a lot of money. Yeah, so I'm like, what's wrong with y'all? No excuses. But I don't understand a 50-year-old person with a heart condition thing. So there's a lot of intelligence that I didn't have.
Yeah.
That emotional intelligence, that living wisdom is something that you don't have. So there's just a lot that we have to go through to become smarter at this position, because the ultimate goal of leadership is to take care of people.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
And to support people.
Yeah.
To do their best work.
It's all about the experiences.
Yeah.
So before we get out of here, I got a 2-part question for you, right? I think we gotta know this. Everybody gotta know this, right? So the first one is Mr. Dr. Travis Brown. Where did the doctor come from?
You got a doctor in education.
I know. That's why the audience want to know, right? And what are your plans for the next few years to how can I say this, like to just catapult your education?
Yeah.
No facts.
So where did the doctorate come
Yeah,
from?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
where did I get it from?
Yeah, you know, Dr. Dre just got doctor because of whatever. I don't know.
I kind of got mine like that too. No, I just put that on there so I can.
I didn't know you could just put doctor like that in
Fake
front
it
of
till you make it.
Fake it till you
Yeah,
make it, right?
but no, I was given the opportunity. I was fortunate enough to go through New York University, NYU,
Yes.
a program in innovation and leadership.
Okay.
So it's a doctorate in education, but specifically is around innovation and leadership. So how do we innovate within organizations and things like that? So that was my that's my
So
doctorate.
so the doctor doesn't have to really be just medical wise.
Right.
It could
So-
just be anything.
So I don't have right. So there's a medical doctor. Then you have for example, then you have a dentist. That's a doctor also. But then on the academic side, there's a PhD. So that's a doctor of for what we call philosophy. So
like Fat Joe got a doctor.
You got doctorate.
he has an honorary.
Yeah, he got some shit like yeah.
Yeah. So colleges are also sometimes they give out honorary doctorate degrees.
That's like Shaq.
So
Okay. Because that's what I'm
So
sorry.
some people have that. Unfortunately, I'm not that famous, so I'm not that accomplished.
Not
I
yet.
didn't get an honorary from it.
Yeah,
Not
yeah,
yet.
yeah.
Not
So I
yet.
had to earn.
You earned it. You earned it.
I think those people do earn it through life experience, and that's an honor also because sometimes they give it to them because these people are so accomplished and
Right,
certain
right.
things is like your honorary. So they earn it another way. My way of earning it, I had to go to school.
went to literally
I had
for
to
school, yeah.
I had to do some schoolwork for it, because my life and stuff is not.
Yeah,
not up
it
to
was
par.
that, yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't want to discredit honorary doctorates also, but
So that
I have a
was it.
doctorate in education.
Got you.
So
So in case y'all don't know, there you go right there.
so that's what I have. So that's what I have, and my specialty is innovation and change
Nice.
and leadership. So that's
Cool.
my piece. And then you said, and then what's next?
Yeah, what's next for you?
It's really next is also staying in my school. That's really big on me. Like one of the things I don't aspire, like people are very like sometimes we're ambitious and we want to take on more, and I love the people to do that to conquer bigger problems. I want to build a sustainable school in the Bronx.
Smart.
And I want to be there for generations, the kids or whatever, because I think that's what kids that's coming from more means, they go to schools that are around and they're brothers and sisters and everybody knows it. So I want to create that in the Bronx. So
That's dope.
I'm Pharos Academy until they won't have me anymore. But my pet projects is also Teach Jam the conference because I want to bring educators to the Bronx because we can educate our young people at high levels. We can make doctors. We can make engineers. We can do that. Right. We had a kid go to MIT.
Oh, for your school.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
bless. Beautiful.
So it's doable.
Yes.
It's doable. So we want to continue to bring educators to the Bronx, let them learn from really smart people. And that's happening again this year, Saturday, May 31st. We're bringing everybody to the Bronx, and what's happening uniquely this year. That's unique this year is that we're going to talk about the education side, but we're going to also talk about how people and how teachers can do good, but also do well financially. So we're going to have MG, the mortgage guy. He's going to teach you how to buy multifamily units, buy your first home, all that stuff that goes on like that. And then we're going to have Ian Dunlap, the master investor.
Okay.
He's going to teach you how to invest your money. And we also having Caleb Silver from Investopedia. He's going to be there. He's going to teach us all about crypto and understanding that. And, of course, we have the student loan doctor, teach people how to get out of student loans and everything that's going on with Trump dismantling the Department of Education. So we just have a full menu for educators to say, here's the instructional side to get smarter in the classroom. But then the other side of the coin is how do you get smarter in your own life so that you have economic security, so that you're walking into work feeling good because your finances are together and things like that. So that's what it is. So I want to continue building that and then working with Earn Your Leisure, EYL, to really help more schools get on this financial literacy wave. So, yeah, that's what I'm about. Just
fine.
each
We'll
one
definitely be
teach one.
attending,
teach
and
one,
I just
man.
want to say thank you too for the future because I know when I have kids, my kids are definitely going to your school. I already got
It
it
would be an
planned.
honor.
That's it.
Yeah, that'd be dope, man. Because I like that. Before we leave, Pharos Academy is dope because a lot of people in the Bronx only know the bad parts of the schools, like Theodore Roosevelt being a bad school, Evander Childs being a bad school, all that, Alfred E. Smith being. But Pharos Academy went from 15% in academics and other 18% and shot up to 81 and better. So I'll take my hats off to you, man. Pharos,
Appreciate
man.
it.
Yeah,
for real.
yeah.
Time.
So yeah, again, appreciate you for coming, man. Dropping
it's been
some
a pleasure.
gems, man. I got some gems that I took from you that I'm gonna take. So don't be mad if I use them and you see them like, oh man, I'm taking it. I'm telling you on camera. I'm telling you right now.
I probably got it for someone, so
You did?
nothing original over
That
here.
is-
But I
say
just want to
less.
thank the three of you. Thank you for just giving me this opportunity, platform. Love what you're doing. Great studio,
Trying.
and I love the connectedness. Father and son.
I'm the cousin.
Dope.
Yeah, he's my
and
cousin.
their cousin, so it's a family affair.
Yeah,
but
yes,
just really
definitely,
appreciate
definitely.
what your young men are doing.
Thank you, man.
And we got to talk because you got a 20-something-year-old and you look like his brother. So I need some of those secrets.
That's the facial regimen that we got going.
So we got to talk about that. But no,
That's the banana. What's that dude's name?
Ashton
Ashton
Hall.
Hall. I got the banana going on my.
I just mentioned that earlier, bro. I'm telling you.
You gotta
son.
put your water.
I put my water, my face in the water, ice water. You gotta get that specific water though. You can't
Saratoga.
get. You gotta get Saratoga water.
Man, somebody approached me with that bottle today. I just said it on my Instagram.
Yeah, I seen
Did it
that,
really?
I seen that.
How you come up to me with the bottle in your hand like you at the club? And he goes, "Yo, where's
a
the
fancy bottle though, bro.
Come
Like,
on, man. Put it in one of those little
It's just trendy,
cups with
bro,
the straw
like-
coming out. What are they called? The Stanley
sippy
cup.
cup?
The-
That's
what is that?
Stanley cup.
The Stanley cups. Yeah.
Man, listen,
I'm dead.
that's just all trendy, man. Like, yeah, it might be good water, but whatever, dude.
That shit
Like,
tastes like Poland Spring to me, bro.
hey, listen, hey, nah, but yo, you ain't know. Again, thank you for coming. Thank you for the merch too. Fire merch, by the way.
Hey,
Go
yes,
go
sir.
pick it up.
Wearing this whole week.
You want to charge your merch?
yeah. Well, come to the Teach Jam conference.
There you go.
Teach Jam. You get
What
all
is
the
it?
merch.
May what?
May 31st.
May 31st.
Saturday, May 31st.
We'll definitely put it up.
Yeah, come there. You'll be able to get this jacket here. We have some more of those jackets, and we
Nice.
just really it's just to get people together, have community. But again,
Fire.
thank you all for this opportunity. I really
Yes,
had a
sir.
great time. I appreciate it.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
good
man.
time, bro,
That
brother.
said, peace, bless, love. Give thanks to that man above.
Live, love, prosper, y'all.
Peace, y'all.